Okay, hello everyone. Today, as we mentioned, we will start with a new certification. It's AI 900, Artificial Intelligence Fundamental by Microsoft. And before we proceed, I would like you to be aware of the objectives for this exam. So as I mentioned, in this exam, they are just testing your knowledge. So they need you to know the different artificial intelligence workloads and considerations. And when we speak about considerations, we mean ethics of AI. So this is very important. Today we will start with this topic, by the way. And as you can see, most 15 to 20% of the questions will be coming from this topic. Also, they want to know your knowledge in machine learning and how we can do machine learning on Azure. This is, as you can see, one of the highest percentage. So expect expect more questions for this objective. We will cover also a bit of this component today. Also, they need you to know features of computer vision workloads. And here we are speaking about 15 to 20% of the questions. They need you also to know more about natural language processing, NLP, and how we can benefit from Azure for that aspect. And they added a new component. Like I did the exam 3 years back, this component wasn't there. So they added generative AI workload on Azure, and also they added a 15 to 20% of the questions. Throughout the sessions that we will be conducting, I will make sure that I at least cover all these objectives with you, and I will try to pick questions related to all these workloads. But as we mentioned previously, on Canvas, you will have more questions that are dedicated for this exam and that are real questions. They are like from previous exams. So this is a very nice way to test your knowledge in this topic. So we would like all of you to finish all the questions on or all the quizzes on Canvas. That means that you are committed to do the exam. We will send you also an email to check when you prefer to sit for the exam, which month, April, May, or June. Now we prefer if you sit for the exam in April so that we can Sandu al-Watan, also can celebrate your success during a big ceremony that they have. But if you cannot and you prefer to have it during the month of May or June, feel free to write in the form. Now, let me take you through the exam overview by MS Learn. And I will also put this link in the chat so that all of you will get access. Okay, so let's open this link together to see where you can start. So this is your starting point. This is where you can check all the information related to the exam. Okay, now there is very nice practice assessment. This assessment, the questions are not coming from real exam as the ones on Canvas. So if you want, you can start from here. After you finish the full content on MS Learn. Let me also open for you MS Learn and give you the link for that. Okay. So this is the link as well. Let's open together the link. So this is the starting point, as we mentioned. You can find all the content over here for all the objectives that you will be tested about. So once you click on any of these modules, it will take you further to all the information. So as we mentioned, the first one is about a general information about AI and also responsible AI. So the questions will be around these two topics. And then they delve more into machine learning and so on. Now, you don't need credits, okay? For this one, it's more about knowledge and information They will not ask you to do something specific in the exam. So if you don't have the $100, it's fine. It's totally fine. Okay, so start here. After you finish from this one, go to the page where you can see all the information related to the exam. Do the practice assessment. And then when you are ready, go ahead and start with the Canvas quizzes. Okay, Canvas quizzes, as we mentioned, we open it for you as you can do it for several, you can have several attempts. So feel free to redo the exam if you feel your score is low. This is number one. Number two, if you face any question and you feel that the answer doesn't make sense, don't hesitate to send that question via an email, and we will make sure that we reply back to you. Either I will consolidate all the questions and start with them at the beginning of the session, or we can reply back to you via email. Okay. So this is for the exam. Also, there are some nice website like Quizlet, where you can have like a flashcard. In the flashcard, they will also help you to memorize if you want some of the concepts. So this is also another way to practice. Let me a little bit open for you the flashcard so that you can see it. Here you have you can see, for example, the answer, and if you flip it, you can see the question. There are around 164 questions. You can also, after you finish, you can test your knowledge using this one. So all these will help you to prepare. Also, if you would like, you can go ahead and watch YouTube videos that are related to AI 900. Usually there are some MVP who go and prepare such videos to support you. So you have all this bundle if you want to make sure that you will succeed in the exam. Now we will start, me and you, with our session. As we mentioned, I wanted you to start answering so that you are at least exposed to the questions. Thank you for all students who are adding their email address. Help us by know from which university you are coming by writing your email address. Now, let me see. Okay, 54 would prefer to sit for the exam during the month of June. Okay, and 45 during the month of April. Amazing. We need more in April if you can make it. So if you want to make it in April, I would like you to finish all the quizzes by the first week of April, so that we will start with the process with you by sharing with you practice questions and also the exam vouchers so that you can sit for the exam. Okay, now let me start with the first question on our list and start speaking about. Okay. Let's close all of this to start fresh. Okay, so the first question over here, it's saying a company employs a team of customer service agents to provide telephone and email support to customers. Okay, the company develops a web chat bot to provide automated answers to common question queries. Which business benefit should the company expect as a result of creating the web chat bot solution? So this is a very simple question. It has nothing to do with AI 900 from a technical perspective. It's just about the concept. So here, the answer is a reduced workload for the customer service agent. So this is a typical answer, and I left the most voted over here. So this is a typical answer because whenever we are introducing a chatbot, we are expecting to reduce the workload for the customer services. I bet all of you answered this correctly. Perfect. Okay, oops. Okay, let's proceed. So question number, the second question on our list. For a machine learning progress, how should you split data for training and evaluation? So here we have several answers. Use features for training and labels for evaluation. So this has nothing to do with the question. The question is about how should you split the data for training and evaluation, and now we'll speak about it. The second point is randomly split the data into rows for training and rows for evaluation. This is the correct answer. Let me check what you answered over here. Okay, randomly split, the highest rating. Use labels, we will speak about it. Use features, we'll speak about it. And randomly split the data into columns for training. It's not on into columns, we will speak about it. Okay, so let me close this one to make it easy for us. Okay, so we are asked about machine learning, and we are asked how should you split the data for training and evaluation. Also, we have labels for training, and we have randomly split the data into columns for training and columns for evaluation. So your answers should be between randomly split the data into rows for training or randomly split the data into columns. Why? Because as you know, how we do the machine learning, what is the process for machine learning? For machine learning, we start with the data, okay? And then we need to split the data. Now, we don't split the data in columns because columns, we are, each column is called a feature. What is a feature? Each column is a new entry that AI will be checking patterns and so on in order to come up with a solution. So if we split the columns, this has nothing to do with training the data. For training the data, I need a data set to start the training, and I need another data set for evaluation. Now, how we split it? We split it randomly. Okay. Now, for the labels, which is here like Y, this is something else. So for label, this goes under, for example, supervised machine learning, which we'll be speaking about, but it has nothing to do about training. So whether we are speaking about supervised machine learning, unsupervised machine learning, whatever the process we are doing in machine learning, when it comes to training the data, we need to split the rows into training data set and another rows into evaluating data set. Usually we do 60-20 or something like this, and also we keep 20 for testing and so on, but the percentage is not important. The most important part is to know that when we are doing training for machine learning, we split rows, okay? If you have any question on this, please stop me and write the question in the chat. Mr. Ammar will be reading for me your questions because I'm not able to see them. Okay, now we have another important question over here. So this is very important. It's called confusion matrix. You know anything about confusion matrix? Let me see if you have any knowledge about this topic. You know anything about confusion matrix? Okay, nothing? Okay, let me explain a little bit about the confusion matrix. So after we finish from training the data, evaluating the data, testing the data, okay, after we finish finally, we segregate the data into, for example, how many were the machine able to predict correctly, where we are saying so the actuals of correct prediction here is 1 and the predicted is 1, so the actual is 11. So we call it true positive. Okay, so what we call it a true positive. Okay, so the actual are listed up over here, but here in my matrix they are listed down. So the actual, which is true and predicted correctly, so it is true positive. Okay, Now we have another column, which is for actual true but negative. What we mean by this? So actual true, it means that the machine was supposed to predict them correctly, but it predicted them negative, okay? And we have the actual false. So according to the data, these numbers should be false and they were predicted correctly. So false positive, and we have false negative where it is uh, false negative where it is a true negative. What we mean by true negative? So these numbers are supposed to be negative, okay? And they are really like predicted negatively, okay? Now, this is your guide if you want. For this one, it's like flipped, as you can see. So predicted are here, positive and negative, and actuals are here. So let's see what you answered this question. Let's see and analyze. So for the first question, how many predicted correctly? Let's see your answer. How many predicted correctly? Okay, you said 11. Okay, let's see if the answer is 11. Correct, 11. So 11 were predicted correctly. What we mean predicted correctly? So actual one means they are, actually they are positive, and the machine was able to predict them correctly. So this is 11-1. Now, how many false negative? Okay, how many false negative? So false negative. So negative, I guess this one. Why false negative? Because they are predicted 0, okay, but they are false. Let me see what you answered. Okay, amazing. Most of you answered this question correctly. So I advise you here to really go through this like a sample and always refer to this one in order to answer such questions. You will face a lot of questions similar to this one under something we call confusion matrix, and it is usually very helpful in order to see whether our machine learning is predicting properly the answers. Okay, let's proceed to the other question. Here, you build a machine learning model by using the automated machine learning user interface. Okay, so as we know, we have in Azure something called automated machine learning. Okay, you need to ensure that the model meets the Microsoft transparency principle for responsible AI. Now, this question has nothing to do with automated machine as it has to do with understanding the principles of responsible AI. Okay, so here let us little bit review the principles of AI. We have 6 principles according to Microsoft. Now, if we are studying ethics of AI, you will find more than these principles. But according to Microsoft, they selected these 6 principles. The first one is about fairness. So how we are handling the data in a fair way. So we are including all ages or genders. We don't have any kind of bias in the data and so on. Reliability and safety, how we are ensuring that our AI is reliable and is not causing any danger for the society. Privacy and security, we want to make sure that the data is kept secure and private. No one is able to take my information, similar to what's happening now on Instagram, where if I'm saying something, I will be able, like for example, I want to buy a car, suddenly I will see an ad about the car. So this is not following, if you want, the privacy and security ethics. So make sure that really you understand what is behind these 6 principles. Inclusion is where we are making sure that people with all needs are able to use the AI solution. Transparency, this is very important. Transparency has to do with two aspects. First one, documentation, so that whenever we want to debug or to understand more how AI is taking a specific decision, we have the right document, and also transparency in terms of explaining how the AI was able to come up with a specific decision. So this is also important. And finally, accountability. Who is accountable for any bug, for any error that is happening in the solution, and how the how you are taking care of any of these errors. So you will find a lot of questions related to ethics of AI. Make sure that you really understand what is the different scenarios and how these are applied. So to go back to our question and just to analyze it more. So here, as I mentioned, the question is not about automated machine learning. It's more about the meaning of transparency principle. So here, set validation type to auto. No, this has nothing to do with validation. Enable explain best model. Why? As we mentioned, when we are speaking about transparency, we need to understand how this AI was able to come up with that prediction or decision, because we usually say AI is a black box, but if we keep this, if we keep saying AI is a black box, we cannot use AI, because if we want to make AI available for everyone, we need to understand how the decisions are being taken so that no one is really like harmed with the decision of AI. So since I'm seeing the word transparency, then the right answer should be enable explain best model. Okay, now let me go to the answers to check. Okay, perfect. Half, like 50% of you answered this correctly. Set primary metric to accuracy. No, nothing like this. Set validation type to auto. No. Okay. Let's continue with our questions. Now we have this question. So we need to select whether yes or no. And the first one is forecasting house prices based on historical data is an example of anomaly detector. So here we need to understand when to use which cognitive service by or which API by Microsoft. We have several APIs. You need to understand them all. One of them is anomaly detection. So usually anomaly detection is used to detect something that is suspicious or something that is odd, that is not normal in the data set. This is what we use anomaly detector for. So when we are speaking about forecasting house prices, this is not anomaly detector, okay? This is more like maybe regression, and we will explain what regression is. Okay, so this is the answer here is no. And then identifying suspicious sign-in, yes, correct, by looking for deviation from usual patterns, correct, is an example of anomaly detection. Correct. So whenever we have any deviation from the usual pattern, there is where we say here we have an anomaly detection. And for example, we can use it for identifying suspicious sign-in. So for example, someone usually signs in from, let's say, Dubai, suddenly, and at the same time they signed in from Brazil, let's say. So this is suspicious because they cannot be with a time time interval by 1 hour. They cannot be in two different locations. Okay, so this is an example of anomaly detection. Yes, so the answer here is correct. Here, prediction whether a patient will develop diabetes based on the patient's medical history is an example of anomaly detection. Again, no, because here it is not about suspicious in the data. It's about learning from patterns to understand or to predict whether the patient will be diabetic, yes or no. Here we can say it's more like either clustering or classification. Also, we will speak more about it, but this is not anomaly detector. Okay, although we are checking whether it is diabetes, and diabetes might be something odd, but the data here is more like you can have hundreds of people who have diabetic. It's not only one, for example, in the data, which will be a deviation from the usual pattern. Okay, so pay attention. These two are easy and straightforward, but this one maybe it is a little bit tricky. Let me check what was your answers. No, yes, no. Okay, amazing, perfect. Okay, let's continue, me and you. If you have any question, Ammar, is there any question on the chat? Sorry, I cannot see the chat. Okay. Let's see. If you have any question, please write it in the chat, and or you can even open your mic and discuss it with us. So here we have another question. Match the types of AI workloads to appropriate scenario. Okay, this is also a common question for the first objective in the exam, which is understanding the different AI concepts and models. So let's read. An automated chat to answer questions about refunds and exchange. Since it is a chat, then we will use conversational AI. This is very easy and straightforward. Determining whether a photo contains a person. Since we are speaking about a photo, then this is straightforward computer vision. It's an easy question as well. Determining whether a review is positive or negative. So here we are understanding the sentences. So it has to do with natural language processing. Okay. So let's check what you answered for these questions. Conversational. Okay, amazing. Perfect. Good. Good start for all of you. Okay, and if you feel it's easy, those are typical questions that are coming from previous exams. So this is just to tell you that don't freak out from the exam. It's easy. If you prepare, if you followed whatever we started the session with, like go through the MS Learn, go through the Canvas, attend these sessions just to understand how to approach the questions, it will be an easy job for you, and you will receive 2 certification from Microsoft, which will help you in your workforce and which will increase your chance to be accepted for any job. Okay, now here you are designing an AI system that empowers everyone, including people who have hearing, visual, and other impairments. So directly, since we are including everyone, so this is, and the principle here is inclusiveness. This is also another easy question. Sorry. Let me check if you got this correctly. Okay, no, it's not about accountability. It's more about inclusion and not fairness and not reliable. Okay, let's proceed. So here we have a question. Also, we need to match the principle, the Microsoft principle with the right scenario. So we have ensure that all AI systems operate as they were originally designed, respond to unanticipated conditions, and resist harmful manipulation. So since we are speaking about the AI system should operate as they were originally designed, so this means we are speaking about reliability. So this system is reliable and resist harmful manipulation. So this is reliability and safety. Okay, so these are the key points if you want, whenever you see like a system resist any harmful. So we are making sure that it is operating in a safe environment. It is operating as originally designed. So this is reliability. Okay. Another question, implementing process to ensure that decision made by AI system can be overridden by a human. This is accountability. And as part of any system and any AI software, you need to make sure that under any condition, you will you will have, for example, plan B. Okay, so you are really accountable to anything that is happening, whether by making sure the AI is working 100%, nothing is 100%, like 99% accurate, or by putting another plan B where there is a human intervention where they come and try to solve the problem. Okay. Okay, now here we have provide consumers with information and controls over the collection, use, and storage of their data. Here we are speaking about more privacy and security because we want to keep their information controlled and make sure that they are stored in the right environment as well. So here also as part of any AI program, they dictate that you need to inform whoever is using your AI, what you will be doing with their information and how you are storing their data. And this falls under privacy and security. Okay, these are very important. You will see a lot of questions related to responsible AI in this exam because this is the core before even you are developing an AI, you need to make sure that you understand these principles and you are abiding by them. Amazing, you got it correctly. Perfect. Okay, so let me know if you can put like thumbs up or something like this, just for me to see whether you are following with me, whether you find it easy or hard. Just type it in the chat as well. Okay, let's continue me and you. So here, you are building an AI system. Which task should you include to ensure that the service meet the Microsoft transparency principle? Another question related to responsible AI. So since we are speaking about transparency, as we mentioned, we need to have some kind of documentation. So we need to provide documentation to help developer debug any code. And this falls under transparency because we don't want to hear the word AI is a black box. No, we need to understand how AI is taking the specific decision, and this should be explained also in the code. So even if we put the code without documentation, without explaining, that will not be like aligning by transparency principle. Okay, let me check what you selected over here. Okay. Ensure that all visuals have an associated text that can be read by a screen reader. This one is an example of inclusiveness. Okay, this is an example of inclusiveness because we need to include everyone with any disability. So it is not transparency. Enable auto scaling to ensure that a service scales based on a demand. This has nothing to do with any of the principle. This has to do with the service itself. And Azure, as you know, it is auto scaling just to ensure that based on any demand, it is opening in new servers for the customer to utilize them. And also here, ensure that a training data set is the representative of the population. This falls under fairness, where we are including data from, as we mentioned here, the data set is the representative of the population. So try to really understand more the principles of AI, because as I mentioned, you will have a lot of questions related to this one, and it is not a straightforward. As you can see, this is the kind of question that they will be asking based on for example, a scenario or an experience, for example. Okay, so let's continue. Select the answer that correctly complete the sentence. And here we have which one of these will be responsible for extract extracting dates, quantities, and location from a text. So this is a very important question, and this is an opportunity for you. If you don't know, you need to go and start getting the definition for these words, because all of this falls under language processing, natural language processing, standards, if you want. So let's go ahead and define named entity recognition. What is named entity recognition? So named entity recognition, uh, it's a feature that can identify and categorize entities. So imagine I have this text. So from this text, if I'm utilizing named entity recognition, I will be able to know what? I will be able to specify the following. I will be able to specify whether the type is person, person type, location, organization, event, product, skill, address, phone number, email, URL, IP, date, time, and quantity. So whenever I have a text, as part of the natural language processing, we have named entity recognition, which will go through the text and will say, okay, so this is a person, maybe this is person type, this is a person, this is a location, this is a date. So in this way, the machine will be able to understand the text by itself from the named entity recognition. Okay, so you have to make sure that you know these definitions very well. Okay, so how? You can start with the MS-Learn. It will take you through all these definitions, and on a piece of paper, try to write them as a summary so that you are well prepared for the exam. Okay, so the answer here is named entity recognition. Let me check what was your answers. Amazing. So most of you selected. Okay, key phrase extraction. We are extracting a phrase. It's not about, okay, why it is not a key phrase, because here it's speaking about extracting specific information. The information are date, quantities, and location. So since we are extracting these specific information, then it is named entity recognition. Okay, and make sure you familiarize yourself with all the specification that the named entity recognition can do. Okay, because they will list for you some of these specifications. Okay, let's proceed. So here, to complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. Here we have returning a bounding box that indicates the location of a vehicle in an image is an example. Okay, so we have an image and we need to indicate the location of a vehicle in that image. So which one of these we will be using? This is very important also to understand what each API can do. Okay, so we have image classification. Image classification is to classify, classify, for example, this is apple, this is banana, blah, blah. Object detection is to detect the object. And look at this. Let me show you a small comparison. So in object detection, let me open for you the link. In object detection, what we have location. So this is what they are looking at. So rectangle, for example, and this and that, it has, for example, the kitchen appliances. So this is object detection, where it is really detecting an object on a specific image. Okay, so object detection is it will detect the exact location of a vehicle, a computer, and so on. So in this way, we can know where is the location. So since we are speaking about location, so the answer will be object detection. Now, optical character recognizer, this is just to detect the words and the letters in an image, okay? Semantic segmentation, this is more like to check whether this text is positive, negative, and so on. So it has nothing to do with location, okay? So maybe the confusion will be between image classification and object detection. Since we specified location, then this is object detection for sure. Let me check what you answered for this question. Perfect. You got it correct. So as we mentioned, image classification is to classify, for example, in that image, apple, where is the apple, where is the banana? This is image classification, but it will not give you, as we saw, the exact location of that, for example, apple. Okay, now here is another important topic, and this falls under machine learning. So once you are going into the module machine learning, you will hear a lot about something called feature engineering. What is feature engineering? So feature engineering is a technique that we use to select the best features. And what is the best features? So it has a lot of things that we can do. So first, as you know, in any machine learning, we start with a raw data. So we have here, for example, I'm speaking about information related to diabetic people. Okay, so here the information will come, for example, like this is male, female, FM, for example. This is the date of birth, for example, the location of the hospital, blah blah. A lot of these columns. So these columns are not really cleaned up, they are not prepared, and so on. So we need to do some kind of feature engineering to select the best features. What we mean by the features? Features are the columns that I will be taking into the model, as you can see over here, so that we can train the data. We cannot take the raw data automatically to the model because it will have a lot of errors. So what we usually do in the feature engineering, we do all of this. So if you are taking any course related to AI at the university, expect to learn more about feature engineering. It will be a chapter dedicated for feature engineering with all the Python coding, where we have to do normalization, for example, to have all similar ranges. So for example, if I have, let's say, female, for example, some of them are written F, some of them are written female, the whole text. So we normalize to make all the data cohesive. We do scaling, for example, to change from text to numbers so that it will be easy for the system to understand. We do encoding, where we are, as I mentioned, we can change from numerical representation into, for example, we change into numerical. For example, female, male, we can change these into, for example, numbers using one hot code encoding, or we can do transformation. So in transformation, we use operations. So for example, I mentioned that we have a column called date of birth. Okay. Now from the date of birth, I don't need to take the date of birth because that will be hard for the machine to understand patterns. So from that, I will create a calculated column, which will be called a feature at the end. A calculated column, for example, where I'm extracting the age. So the age might be something or a feature that the model will look at, and it might be relevant, for example, whether at a specific age the person is getting diabetic, yes or no. Okay, so you understand? Feature engineering is the stage before we start collecting which columns. The columns will be called features that will go into the model, and from the model, we will be starting the training aspects. Okay? I'm not hearing anything from you. I hope that you are really following up with me. Let's see if you have any question. Ammar, you are still with me on the call. So feature engineering is used to
Yes, Solange, I'm
generate.
here. Don't worry.
Okay, perfect. Any question? Can you see any question on the chat?
No
Okay,
questions. No questions for now, Solange.
okay, perfect. So let's see what you selected over here for this one. Okay, amazing. Feature engineering, not feature selection. So what is the difference between feature engineering and feature selection? Let me go back to my drawing over here. So feature engineering is where we are preparing all the features, and then we do some kind of also manipulation to detect from all these features which feature we will be selecting. That stage at the end will be feature selection. Also, it requires a lot of coding aspects. But what we are looking at over here in this question, okay, generating additional feature where, as I mentioned, as I give you the example of, for example, I have the month, but I don't have the age. So I'm creating a new feature. This falls under feature engineering, okay? These are very important definitions. As you can see, till now, we are not doing any kind of labs, okay? And you will not need the $100 till now. Okay, we will see. Maybe I will use Azure to explain for you, but for the exam, you don't need to have hands-on if you want. Okay, it's not. It's only the basic information so that you are prepared for the next certification, which is AI 102, which is the engineering. At that exam, they will require really to have knowledge and the hands-on of using Azure for artificial intelligence. Okay. Let's proceed. You run a charity event that involves posting photos of people wearing sunglasses on Twitter. Hello? Okay. You need to ensure that you only retweet photos that meet the following requirements. So the AI is checking the photos of people wearing sunglasses, and we are retweeting photos based on what? Include one or more face. This is the first constraint. Contain at least one person wearing sunglasses. Okay, so these are the two constraints. Hala, what should you use to analyze the images? What should we use? Which API, or even in the API? So we have here two APIs, the face and the computer vision services. So which one we will use in order to check if we have one or more face or contain at least one person wearing glasses? So here, let me show you the difference between image analyze or custom vision and the API face. So each one of these are a different API. And by the way, you can go on Azure and use them. You can test them. So the first one, image analyze, will tell you that this is a person and this is the location of the person, okay? For the face, it will give you location, attributes, head pose, identification, landmarks, and recognition. So here, with this one, I can recognize that this person is wearing a sunglasses, versus the other one, it will say that this is just a person, okay? So which one to use based on the scenario? If I'm only want to detect the person, then okay, yeah, image analyze can help me. But if I want to have more recognition about the head pose, whether there are like sunglasses or no, and so on, then I will go with the face API. And this is the one that was used during Corona or COVID to detect whether someone is wearing a mask, yes or no. Okay. Describe image operating in customer, no. Analyze image operating in, no. So nothing about this. It is detect operations in the face service. Let me see what you answered. Okay, so 35% got this correct. Let's proceed. Now we have, when you design an AI system to assess whether loans should be approved, the factors used to make the decision should be explainable. Directly, when I see the word explainable, then I mean transparency. This one we explained it several times, but you can see now how they are changing the way. So I can guarantee you that you will have at least 2 to 3 questions about responsible AI. Now, how they will ask you the question, I don't know, but prepare yourself to understand the real meaning behind each one. And it seems that 84% of you guessed it correctly. Perfect. I hope that it is not guessing. It is like you are knowing the information or the explanation of each of the principles. Another question related to responsible AI. So here, match the principle of responsible AI to appropriate requirement. Let's see the requirement. The system must not discriminate based on gender and race directly. It is fairness. Fairness. And this is like yeah, no English language. So if we are not discriminating, then this is really being fair. Personal data must be visible only to approve. So this one goes under privacy and security. Also very easy. Automated decisions making process must be recorded so that the approved user can identify why a decision was made. Another way of saying explain why you are taking this decision, and this falls under transparency. Okay, transparency is the most important point because really before they used to say AI is a black box, and this is why it wasn't like a lot of AI solution weren't released to the market because we don't have appropriate documentation, we don't understand how the AI is taking the decision and so on. So to protect yourself in like the society, if you want, you need to abide by transparency by all means so that the AI solution will not fire back on you. Okay. Let's see what you selected over here. Fairness, privacy, transparency. Perfect. Good. So most of you are doing great today. This is amazing, but only I have 15. I hope we had more responses from you guys. Okay, let's continue. You plan to deploy an Azure machine learning model as a service that will be used by client application. Which three processes should you perform in sequence before you deploy the model? Okay, so what is the sequence over here? We need to start first of all with the data preparation. As I showed you, we take the data, we prepare it. So under data preparation, we have feature engineering, okay? So here they didn't put feature engineering because it's part of the data preparation. And then after the data is prepared, we go into model training, and finally we evaluate the data. Let me see if I do something. I did something for you over here. So this is automated ML. What is automated ML? In Azure, you can simply upload your data. As you can see over here, you can simply upload your data. Azure will automatically also, by putting some features extraction, they can do the feature engineering for you. Okay, you can split the data. Okay, you can split the data into training and then into evaluation and then into testing. And the beauty about the automated ML is that you don't really need to write any single line of code. You don't really need to know anything about Python. It is just you need to know the sequence. So which one goes first? First is the data preparation, then training, then evaluating or getting the scores, and then evaluating. And also you have a stage here which is called testing. And as you can see, by drag and drop, you are giving the sequence for the pipeline. So which one to start with at first, okay? Now you will ask me, is this really reliable, the automated ML? Now with a clean data, if you have a data that is really cleaned and prepared, and you know what you have with labeled data, we'll speak about labeled data. Yes, you can have a high accuracy rate with this one, actually, and you can really simplify your life. But if your data is not clean, not prepared, you don't understand your data, I don't advise you to go into the automated ML. I advise you to do some hands-on and work around with the data before you really deploy it. But here it's only requesting the sequence, so also you don't really need to have credits in order to show it. Okay, let's see what you selected over here. Data preparation model. Okay, amazing. Most of you got this also. Okay, perfect. So some of you understand more what is data preparation, cleaning, pre-processing, transforming. Amazing. This is perfect. But here we only need to specify the 3 stages. Okay. You know, if you take AI at the university level, this course will be really easy for you because they start with the theoretical aspects if you want, and then they delve a little bit with the Azure technology. So with Azure technology, what you need to know is the APIs. You need to understand, for example, each API, what it has, so that you really can make it to the exam. But if you take any AI course at the university level, most of these information will be really easy for you. Okay, let's proceed. So match the type of AI workload to the appropriate scenario. And here we have these workloads. We have an automated chatbot to answer questions about refunds and exchange. We got the same like sentence if you know, if you recognize before like 3 or 4 questions. But the difference here, they didn't put for us conversational AI. They are working it in a tricky way. Also, pay attention for this point. Don't memorize the question. Although I said that you might get 70% of the questions on Canvas. By the way, you can get 70% of the questions, but sometimes they play it in this way. So they try to put the same, for example, question, but they change the options. So here I don't see conversational AI, but since I'm speaking about chatbot, for sure I will need what? Knowledge mining, because knowledge mining, it will go and grab for me the right information. So here it will be knowledge mining. Okay, so if I have conversational AI, I will select conversational AI. Since I don't have conversational AI, I will go with knowledge mining, because this is the duty of the chatbot to go and grab for me the answers for information through knowledge mining. Okay, determine whether a photo contains a person. So here, this is straightforward computer vision, because this is the only API that has to do with the photo. Now, if I have more like image analyze, face, blah, blah, then I have really to understand which API will help me in checking a photo of a person, whether a photo contains a person, yes or no. Okay? Determine, but they will not make it that tricky. Okay, so they will make it like this one. They don't go really deep into API except for the question that I showed you, but that is obvious because always the face API will have more feature than the image analyze. Determine whether a review is positive or negative. So here it could be sentiment analysis. Since it is not there, then it should be something related to understanding the text, which is natural language processing. Okay, so this is how we really come up with the right answer by like elimination, if you want, eliminating process. So we have NLP, computer vision, knowledge mining. So you shift between NLP and knowledge mining. The last one is not really knowledge mining. It's natural language processing, which has NER and all these features underneath. Okay, perfect. Let's proceed. Okay, we have here another question about machine learning. So we have this one, examining the values of a confusion matrix. So once we reach to the level of confusion matrix, it means we are at the level of model evaluation, correct? Because we mentioned the confusion matrix is where we combine in a like in a table the predictions, whether they were correct or not correct, how many were like predicted and they were actually correct, and how many were predicted and they were actually not correct, and so on. So to reach to the level of confusion matrix, it means we finished from feature engineering, feature selection, model deployment, and model training. We are at the level of model evaluation. Okay, now splitting a date into month, day, and year. This is the same example that I gave you previously, where we are splitting or creating new columns or what we call features in AI. This goes under feature engineering because it has to do with splitting, okay? Picking temperature and pressure to train a model. So here is feature selection. Why it is feature selection? Because after I do the feature engineering, I created all these columns, which we call it features in AI. I need to select the features that are more relevant to the decision and that make sense to the decision. Okay, so here, since I'm selecting the temperature and the pressure to be the feature to train a weather model, so at this stage, I'm doing feature selection. Okay, we understand? So all you need to do for this exam is to understand the flow and understand at each phase what we do. Okay, so here at model evaluation, we check the values of confusion matrix, and you need to know how we can read a confusion matrix. Let me check what you answered over here. Oh, it's refreshing. We were at question number 20, I guess. Okay, model training, model evaluation, feature selection. Okay. Yeah, pay attention for this one. I was like, I tried to explain it as much as I can. Model evaluation, feature engineering, and then feature selection. Let's proceed. Now, we have here, complete the sentence. Data values that influence the prediction of a model are called what? As we mentioned, the columns that we are taking and we are inputting it to the training model, they are called features, okay? They are called features. I hope you know this. Okay. So three responded features, dependent variable. No, they are, we don't call it dependent variables over here. We call them features. Because from these features, the AI will be able to recognize patterns, okay? Okay, now we have this question. This is very nice question as well. You have the predicted versus the true chart. So this chart where it indicates the ideal, which is the actual, if you want, and the predicted, okay? Now, what is the question over here? Let's see what is the question. The question, this chart is for which type of machine learning? Is it classification? Is it regression? Or is it clustering? So here, let's go into the different type of machine learning. This is also very important for all of you to know about. So when I'm speaking about machine learning, I have supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement also. It's not over here on the slide. So I have three types: supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement. Now, what is the difference between the three types of machine learning? If I have data with labels, what is a label? A label, for example, I will give you an example. I was able to get 1,000 of data about patients from a hospital with all their information and also whether they are diabetic or no. So for here, I know what is the output. So for example, if his sugar level is like this, if his age like this, blah, 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 all the features, the answer will be, for example, diabetic or no. So I have the answer if you want, okay? So this is called labels, okay? Now, we have under labels two categories, regression and classification. What is the difference? If it is only diabetic, not diabetic, then this falls under classification because I'm classifying the patient whether he is diabetic or no. And this goes under binary. Binary means yes or no, one or two, diabetic or not diabetic. Okay. Now, what is multi-class classification? Multi-class classification, it is more than one category. So here, for example, I have three kinds of or three types of penguins, let's say. So this is multi-class classification, but I'm classifying whether this is, for example, from North Pole or I don't know what, okay? Now, what is regression? Regression is when we are dealing with numbers, okay, values. So if I have the same data and I have, for example, with these measures, it is 0.8% diabetic, or his diabetes is like 10, 12, 13. So I have numbers, then I will be dealing with regression where we are predicting a number, okay? And in our example, since we are dealing with numbers, then automatically this is regression, okay? Try to really understand this graph and to understand the difference. Now, what is unsupervised learning? Unsupervised learning is when I get the data, but I don't know anything about the patient. So I get their length, I get their age, I get their sugar level, blood pressure, and so on, heartbeat rate, blah, blah, but I don't know anything about them. Okay, here where we are saying let's cluster them into groups. For example, maybe the clustering will be by age, maybe the clustering will be by the blood pressure. Okay, so it depends on what the system or the model we are trying to do and which feature we need to focus on. Okay, but this is known as unlabeled data, and it falls under unsupervised machine learning. Okay. You'll get a lot of questions on this one, by the way. As you saw in the model here, machine learning, I guess it has, yeah, machine learning, it has 20 to 25% of the questions. So make sure that you understand the differences between these types of machine learning. Make sure to know what is automated ML, how is the steps of automated ML, and what is feature engineering, and so on. So the questions that we really posted over here. But if you go to Canvas, you will find more questions related to this. Now, Ammar, after we finish this session, he will open for you the remaining two quizzes, or the first two quizzes, sorry. Okay, here, you need to predict the sea level in meters for the next 10 years, okay? Which type of machine learning? Also, since it is a number, which is sea level, okay? It has to do with number, then automatically it should be regression. Let me check what you answered for the previous two questions. Okay, perfect. Here, regression. And again, a regression. Okay, so those of you who are not answering correctly this question, it means that you didn't take machine learning previously. Make sure just to familiarize yourself with the definition of these different machine learning types. Okay, to complete the sentence, select the appropriate option and the answer. A banking system that predicts whether a loan will be repaid is an example of which one of these? Since we are predicting specifically whether the customer will pay or not, okay? So we are dealing with what over here? We are dealing with classification, not clustering. Clustering, it means, for example, group people by their age group who are trying to take a loan. Group them by their salary, okay? Group them by, for example, another thing. So when I say group them, it means clustering. When I say tell me whether they will pay or no, it means classification. When I say give me percentage that this person will repay, then it is regression. Okay? Pay attention for this one. Okay, classification, amazing. Okay, let's proceed. 25. Labeling is the process of tagging training data with known values. We just spoke about what is labeling. Yes, correct. This is labeling. Okay. You should evaluate a model by using the same data used to train. No, we started with this piece of information. When I get a data set, I will split my data set into three. Actually, they say two, but it is three. Training, evaluation, and testing. And we cannot use the same data for either evaluation or testing. That will be like tricking ourselves and saying the model is working properly. Okay. Always when we need to evaluate, we need to use different data. So here the answer should be no. Accuracy is always the primary metric used to measure a model performance. Accuracy is used, but it is not the primary. We have a lot of other measures that we are checking. Confusion matrix is one of them. Precision is one of them. We have a lot more performance measures. You need also to know the differences. Some of the questions come with what does this mean, what does that mean, and so on, like the confusion matrix, but they really focus on confusion matrix. Let me check what was your answers over here. Yes, no, yes. And the question should be yes, no, no. Okay. Why no here? Just for the word primary, because it's not only the primary. Okay. Okay. Which service should you use to extract text, key value pairs, and table automatically from a scanned document? If we are speaking about a scanned document, then we need to speak about form recognizer. Maybe next time what I will do, I will try to put for you the APIs, and we'll try to really briefly explain when we use which API. Okay. But if I'm speaking about text, extracting text from a scanned document, then automatically it is form recognizer. Text analytics, no, because analytics, it will give me like numbers. Maybe it will give me something related to sentiment, whether it is positive, negative, and so on. Language understanding, no. Here I'm using OCR to extract information, and OCR falls under form recognizer, and not custom vision. No, custom vision, it's more into object in the image and not letters and so on. Okay. Let me check what you answered. Yes, perfect. Form recognizer is the correct answer. Okay, let's go to question number 7. I guess we are reaching till the end. We still have one more question. The ability to extract subtotals and totals from a receipt is capable of the, also since we are speaking about text, receipt, document, whatever we are speaking about, and we are taking information that is already there, then it is form recognizer. And I bet you did a lab with Khaled during the previous preparation on how to use form recognizer. Okay, let's proceed. The final question, predicting how many hours of overtime a delivery person will work based on the number of order is an example of what? Since we are speaking about numbers, then it is a regression. Let me see what was your answers. Okay, form recognizer, we have 5. Great. Regression 7. Okay, good. Okay, so this is all from my end. I'm not sure if you have any question. If you don't have any question, we can stop the recording, Ammar, if you want, and we can take their questions if they have any question. So a quick reminder.
Stopping the recording. Okay. Yeah, quick reminder, Kaman Solange, I know you mentioned it at the beginning,